Are you ready? The Kornelia Stephanie Show. Wake up to love, your call to action. Join Kornelia as she empowers others to live heaven on earth. Kornelia teaches listeners how to be the authority over yourself, embracing your inner guru. Feel yourself uplifted into limitless expansion, integrating ease and grace in a changing world. This show will cover topics such as unconditional love, your physical body, how to be in extraordinary relationships, create financial and emotional wealth, embracing entrepreneurship in the new earth. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Kornelia Stephanie Show. Happy Friday. We've got our stories of hope today. I'm always excited to bring on guests that will really support us in embracing our humanity and moving into our new paradigm, our new earth in a new way. So allow me to introduce you to our first guest today, and that is Nova Wightman. She's an author, speaker, certified life coach. She's an NLP practitioner, Reiki master, and a Conversations with God coach on Neil Donald Walsh's team. Author of the New York Times best-selling Conversation with God series books, you remember those. As the owner and operator of Go Within Life Coaching, Nova specializes in a unique approach called the spiritual alignment process, a powerful and focused blending of one's spirituality with their humanity, which helps clients increase their consciousness and move through their daily lives with greater intention and authenticity. Welcome to the show today, Nova.
Thank you. I'm so happy to be here.
Yes, it's great to have you. And you have all the spiritual tools in your toolbox. You have all the tools that we need: life coaching, Reiki, conversations with God, all the spiritual tools that we need in order to navigate the current times in today's new earth timeline, right?
Yes, I have a lot of them. The trick is to use them consciously and consistently, right?
It is. It is. And also this is what's gotten you aligned on your path so that you can live your life past the human condition, not to avoid the human condition, but to, move past it through the power of feeling and
Mhm.
healing, right?
Correct.
Yeah, and so is this how you're now supporting your clients to move through the some of the negative emotions, because a lot of people are out there talking about the power of positivity and being positive, and then at the same time there is the shadow work.
Mhm. Exactly. Yes. So, of course, it all started with my own journey, as it does for anybody who's on sort of this calling or mission to help others. And one thing that I noticed growing up in a very spiritually based household, my mom was very spiritual. So I grew up kind of exposed to a lot of the stuff that people might call woo woo. It was balanced by my engineer dad, though. One thing that I noticed was that there wasn't a whole lot of room for just being human.
Mhm.
And there was almost like this unspoken condemnation or shame or just something along those lines, where if you had a human moment, you weren't being spiritual.
Mhm.
Whereas I believe that it's all spiritual: your bad moods, your good moods, your wins, your losses, all of that.
Yeah, and it's mainly embracing your humanity, and that is also embracing the ugly parts, the not so pretty parts, the not so enlightened parts, or whatever, embracing all of it. And that is, the fears and the wounding and the separations, right?
Mhm. Yep, exactly.
Yeah.
Well, and if you think about it from a purely, I guess, logical or common sense standpoint, if we waste any time feeling bad about our perceived flaws or anything that would fall under the umbrella of shadow work, and we spend any time and the energy of condemning that within ourselves, we are in no position to grow or expand what we would call like the light aspect of ourselves or our strengths or superpowers or the best parts of who we are. Because when you feel bad, when you're in those lower vibrating energies, you don't want to do anything. So it actually, not only is it good for you, it only makes sense to embrace all of it, to look at all of it, not with this aim in mind to, be Buddha on the mountaintop meditating and in a Zen like state 24/7, but to bring just consciousness and awareness and an intentionality to it and self love, compassion. That is not only what we all deserve, but it's functional, it's productive. You can move.
Right. And this time, many of us were not called to live on the mountaintop because we all could go over there and live on the mountaintop and live like, the Tibetan monks. However, we are the boots on the ground. We're actually using our daily life as a way to bring the practical, the spiritual, the meaning
Mhm.
of what has meaning in life and what's important to you, while at the same time transcending the old, suppressed periods in your life out of your physical body. So
Absolutely.
talk to us about the spiritual alignment process. Tell us a little bit about that. What are the benefits? What happens for your clients when you all work together and you're supporting them with the spiritual alignment process? What happens there?
Yeah, great question. So essentially, it is that blending of one's like human every day. I do have falls, I do have or faults rather, and I do have bad moods self with that part of you that is really seeking for higher states of consciousness and awareness and greater quality of life. And taking those two parts of you and really closing the gap that you perceive to be between them. And we do this in really practical ways through a process which I call your daily alignment habits or your daily alignment practices. So in my experience and observation, especially if you're already on a conscious spiritual journey, there's no shortage of tools, there's no shortage of things out there, but like I said in the beginning, it's the consistency that matters. Like we have to actually show up and create some vibrational momentum. Because you meditate once and you feel pretty good. You meditate once a week. Okay, cool. We're doing something here. Meditate daily and take the time to actually quiet that external noise so you can hear yourself, your inner being, your inner guidance. Now we're talking. So the spiritual alignment process really gets people into that consistent rhythm of showing up for themselves, showing up consciously and intentionally, living their authenticity and their beliefs, their values, their intentions, while making space, holding space, and learning how to work with those very human moments. For example, one of the daily practices is daily gratitudes. A lot of people do those. You write down your things that you feel truly grateful for and appreciative of, and that's great. That's helping you build that vibrational momentum in the direction that you say you want to go. But then, since we're human living in the world of contrast and relativity, you will inevitably get cut off in traffic. Your child will inevitably throw a fit over the wrong color yogurt. Things are going to happen to throw you off. So, what's even more important is knowing what to do and how to recover to that higher state of alignment or just conscious intentionality. So, we spend a certain amount of time cultivating those skills, cultivating those habits. And what I notice happens is that blending, it occurs organically. Your faith deepens, your trust in yourself and a higher purpose not only deepens, but becomes more functional. And you enjoy your life and your humanity in the process of becoming more of who you really are.
Right. And that's got to be so self fulfilling
Mhm.
for the person that is just beginning to cultivate that relationship and starts listening to the inner self, which is a huge benefit because that's actually the place where you can find peace outside of all of the noise that's out there in the world, right? And instead of looking outside of oneself, you're helping people by focusing on the inner practice, the inner meditation, and the daily practice of, consistency.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. So tell us a little bit about your Conversations with God series. Now, did you become a coach with Donald Walsh's team, or how did that? Did you
Yeah.
get certified through that?
That happened as a direct result of practicing vibrational or spiritual alignment myself.
Mm.
I essentially was running a life coaching practice. I was about 4 or 5 years in, was a very talented intuitive coach with no clients and very little income, and didn't want to do all the networking and marketing and all that kind of salesy stuff because it didn't feel authentic to me. And so through some of these practices, I kind of enlisted the help of the universe and said, well, hey, how about we just get me a steady flow of clients, my ideal clients, doing what I love, what I'm best at, without me really having to lift a finger. And my practice was already deeply rooted in the messages of conversations with God at the time and still is. And I found myself in an audience of Neil's for a webinar where 25 other people were supposed to be there with me. It was through a contest. I was the only one who showed up. I was the
Wow.
only one who showed up. So that gave me the opportunity to have some one on one time with somebody who had been, unbeknownst to him, my mentor since I was 14 years old. And he invited me to join his coaching team when he recognized how deeply I knew and was attempting to practice the concepts in the CWG material. And then there I had it. I was part of a team that already had a built in audience. And so I had my steady stream of clients while getting to work with somebody that I mean, to say I look up to him is a ridiculous statement. He's made a huge impact on my life.
That's so great. That's so awesome. What a great story. I'm glad I asked that question. Let's
Mhm.
let the audience know how they can get in contact with you and look you up on your social media and share those with us now.
Sure. So the best and easiest way is just to go directly to my website, which is www.novawhiteman.com. I'm sure that'll be somewhere in the show notes. And when you go there, you can sign up for my free 3-day mini e-course, which just gets you right into the vibrational alignment process of raising your vibration and knowing what to do when you fall out so you can get back in a little bit more quickly and easily. And I'm on Facebook. I've got a private group that's free, spiritual alignment community. And then I'm also on Instagram. But yeah, those are the places to find me, and I'd love to connect.
Awesome. Love that. Love that 3 day getting into vibration and also what to do when you fall out because we all fall out. So it's perfect. Thank you so much, Nova Whiteman, for coming on the show today. And we're going to take a break on the Cornelia Stephanie show. We'll be right back. We are so blessed, everyone. My next guest she lives in the Netherlands and she's here with us. And so it's about 9 o'clock in the evening there. And here we are. We're able to have a beautiful conversation because of the internet. I always love how that works. Dr. Asha is the creator of the Prasad method and TM and the author of Authentic Alignment and the Crystallis Awakening. For over 20 years, Dr. Asha has helped people from all over the world. She is leading holistic physician and author of several books, coaching programs that take a groundbreaking approach to personal development and mindset that blends cutting edge modern research with the wisdom of ancient Chinese philosophers and Indian healers. Simply said, Dr. Asha understands the root causes of modern struggles. Welcome to the show today.
Thank you so much. I'm glad to be here. Thank you for having me.
Yes, it's so great to have you. So, what are you finding in life currently that people are having a challenging time and struggling with?
It's a really great question, Cornelia. You know what, right now, especially because we are after, well, we hope at the tail end of the pandemic, life has changed quite a bit for all of us. And I know, in this part of the world, it was dealt with very differently as opposed to in the States and, in Asia and everything. But one of the things that I've seen is that people are really struggling to kind of find the balance in their life. And I have found some beautiful things that have been happening for a lot of people. It's just kind of this awakening of, we had lockdowns and we had kind of a slower pace of life. to a certain degree during the pandemic. And it really made a lot of people reevaluate what's important. What am I doing? Where's my joy? What am I spending my time with? And so I think that that's one of the biggest struggles that I'm seeing a lot with patients as well as clients that I coach with, is that they're trying to find out what their truth is. How can they be their authentic true self in this world, in this new world that we have, in and that aligns with what their true purpose is.
Yeah, I love how you brought it back to it. For many people, it was a way for them to slow down and really look at their values and what's important to them. And now with things moving forward, we get to live those values out and act those values out in
Exactly.
a balanced way. But you're not really sure because we don't have that footing
Right.
in that way. Is that what you're finding?
Exactly. And you know what? I think, like, if you look at the infrastructures in our society, the ones that were present and in place 3 years ago don't really necessarily apply right now, if they ever did to begin with. But really, now we get to look at it as from a different way. So there has to come like a restructuring in our society. And I think that's what, you see it in companies, for example, but also with the individual too. How does that look for you? And finding out what that feels like, because it can feel really scary in this time of uncertainty. It can be really, very scary for a lot of people, but actually taking that step despite of that.
So when you're meeting with patients and clients,
Mhm.
is that are you opening up for the session to discuss this, or is it more the Prasad method, which I would love for you to tell us
Mhm.
about?
Yes. So you know what it is. I mean, I would say, like, right now, my latest book, The Chrysalis Awakening, actually was a book that I wrote during the pandemic. I was really writing a different book, but because of the circumstances, I shifted gears, and that is the book that emerged from the pandemic, because I felt like this was the book that people needed to kind of help guide them. So most of my work and conversations really are around, finding the and reinventing, actually, of people right now in the current situation, in the present moment. I do incorporate some of the Prasad method. The Prasad methodology is something that I created years ago, and it's really through my own journey. My last name Prasad, the meaning of it, my parents were originally from India, and the meaning of Prasad, the word Prasad, is actually an offering to God. It's like a redistribution to people, like blessings, basically. When you go to a Hindu temple, you receive prasadam or prasad, and then that is blessed, and then that's redistributed. So for me, that was one of the reasons why I titled the way that I work with people was about how do you find your true self, your authentic, essential self, really nurture that and work on your own path and be able to share that with other people, to be the best version that you are and inspire other people to be so. So that's really what the Prasad method is all about. And I work with people in a variety of ways, with different modalities, different philosophies. And, it's really important, I find. The understanding has to be there as well, because we know, as human beings, we want to understand. We use our beautiful minds all the time, and we want to understand things. And it helps in those shifts and transformations that we will take.
Yeah, I love receiving the blessing. I love that ceremonial type of, sacred space
Right,
to give the blessing, to receive the blessing, and to make it meaningful with
right.
how you're communicating with spirit, how you're communicating with God, and how you're communicating essentially with your true self,
Exactly.
right?
Exactly.
Yeah,
Yes.
I like that meaning of your name. That's wonderful. So I totally understand about the pivoting piece, being
Right.
able to also pivot. It's like, wow, you didn't set out to write this book. Is your
Right.
book currently on Amazon?
It is. It is. It is on Amazon. It's on Audible. You can find it on there. And it was very interesting, because I was writing a different book, and I had to listen. Being in the present moment and teaching about being in the present moment, you have to do it, right. You are the student as well at that time, and it was really very interesting, because I realized at a certain moment, wait a second. this is not what people need right now. This is what I want to share, what we're going through right now, and how I can help people, even with things that I was doing myself in the midst of this kind of, reemerging and reevaluating what was important and what wasn't. So it was a very interesting, I have to say, it was one of my most interesting experiences in the writing process thus far.
Right.
So yes.
That it sounds interesting because you became the scribe of the present moment, of the intuitive present moment, to take down what you were hearing. Like you went into the
Exactly.
whole different agenda, and then you were in the present moment. It's like, no, this is changing. And then you listening, being able to listen and really tune in. So your book is called Chrysalis.
The Chrysalis Awakening.
The
Yes,
Chrysalis Awakening, and that is on Amazon, and you can
it
also
is.
get it on Audible. So that's wonderful. So how is everybody now, where you are in the Netherlands, with where are you guys standing with the pandemic and all of that?
Right. Well, just recently, I would say even maybe about 6 weeks ago, a lot of the rules and regulations were lifted for the most part. We actually had quite some lockdowns here. I'm not too sure if you heard about that. I mean, we were really locked down quite a few times, not only in the beginning, but last year for 3.5 months, and at the beginning of this year, we were in a hard lockdown. I mean, it's hard to believe because I know in the States, I've been back to the States a few times during this time, and it was a totally different world.
Yeah.
Whenever I would get off the plane over there, I was like, whoa, wait a minute, because I wasn't used to life moving around. But right now, we are what looks to be at the tail end of things. Of course, they're very cautious to see what's going to happen coming in the fall. But as of right now, it seems to be that things have lifted. And I know you're in California, correct? And you
I'm in
guys were pretty
Washington
strict.
State.
I'm sorry, in Washington State, you guys were pretty strict as well on that side of the United States, correct?
Yeah, we've been pretty strict, but where it's really strict right now
Mhm.
is Australia and
Yes,
China.
yes,
Really, I mean, it's
yes,
like crazy there.
yes,
I mean, really bad.
yes. That is an extreme cases there. That is very, very true.
Yeah.
So yes, that is.
And
But
I
it's
just had someone on the show, when was it, last week, from
Mhm.
Denmark, w-
Okay.
one of the most open and relaxed. They don't
Yes.
even have COVID over there anymore.
No, I know. And they've been relaxed the whole time. And Denmark and Scandinavia and really any of those countries, they've been really relaxed. They handled it. I found it very fascinating how the different countries and cultures dealt with this in
Yeah.
so vastly different ways.
Yeah, I really
Yeah,
like how that played out, and to have different examples, because they handled it differently straight from the beginning. So that's
exactly.
that's very interesting to see how that's all going, and not so much fear being injected into the people, and all of the, because it was handled different. So I want to let the audience know how they can look you up and find you on social media. Would you share with us what your
Yes,
handles are, please? Uh-huh.
sure. So they can reach me at on Instagram at the Prasad Method or at Dr. Asha Prasad on Facebook, website drashaprasad.com.
Awesome.
Yes.
Well, thank you so much for coming on the show today. I definitely am going to be checking out your book and looking forward to taking a look at what that whole thing is all about, the awakening of Chrysalis. And also want to thank you so much for coming on the show today and sharing your beautiful energy and your wisdom with us. And want to thank the audience for listening. Stay tuned for Rosie Perez is next. And then after that, the Diane McClay at 1 o'clock. Thanks so much for listening and tuning in, everyone. We'll see you again next time. You've been listening to the Kornelia Stephanie Show, Wake Up to Love, your call to action. Tune in each week on Transformation Talk Radio. Cornelia's joy is to engage others in practical ways, showing us how to live in the new earth in harmony with our true nature. For more information on Kornelia and her extraordinary work, or to listen to past shows, go to her website at korneliastephanie.com.